You're listening to Bleed TV, the only podcast for today's best shows and movies. I'm Zach.
And I'm Cash.
And tonight we've got Preacher. This was the 7th episode.
Pig.
Pig.
Directed by our good friend Wayne Yip.
Yep. I think you're right.
Yeah.
Anyway, give me analysis here, man. How would you rank this episode?
I'm a little torn because it was a really good episode. There was a lot of great dialogue, a lot of cool shots that I really enjoyed, but there wasn't really anything that was memorable in it that I can think of.
You know, other than a floating pig and learning Star's background, that's about all I really remember.
Yeah. Star, I thought, was Cassidy for like half the episode for some reason. They look really similar.
Dude, if you did shave Cassidy's head and put the
you removed the tattoos and stuff.
I could totally see it.
Like, I was like, why does Cassidy not have any tattoos or an Irish accent?
I'm totally with you there. I'm with you, man. I felt like a lot of the episode was filler.
Mm-hmm.
And all right, let's fill up the holes. But really, when we talk about Star and why we had the whole case file pig.
Yes.
You know, I think that's what the episode was. I think they gave a lot of little clues in the episode, but, you know, I think some of it just kind of felt because we never really maximized those. But I'm with you. I would like the darker direction they went with some of that, like the tulip having the nightmares and...
Well, just the literal darkness of, like, how dark this episode was in places.
And then, you know... The whole, I love Grant McTavish, was the guy who plays the cowboy.
Yeah,
I liked him as this, you know, as this nightmare. You know, it was really cool how they portrayed him for a lot of it. But yeah, the episode overall, you know, I like I said, I enjoyed the darkness, but it was unmemorable.
Yes, it was, and I mean that's weird to say for such, I would say, a strong episode, even though it was filler and stuff.
Right. I mean, just how it even started out when you see...
It took me back to season 1. I was like, yes, you know, we're getting one of these good opening credit scenes that, you know, we've been craving.
Right. And she starts screaming and, you know, I'm not marry you for your cooking and other little comment like that. And then they don't show you what's going on. And for it to reveal that it was a floating pig.
Yeah.
I have not the foggiest what the hell this was about.
I mean, I wish I could tell you or anything, but we don't even get any resolution on it.
We really don't. I mean, the job of the Grail is to kill any false gods. And so is this floating pig supposed to be representative of another god that was mythical and worshiping?
No. Like, I mean, I think we messed up. Like, I mean, we could have taken out a Kardashian or something. You know, I mean, we could have really dug in this because we even brought back Tom Cruise in this episode. So, like, why didn't we take down, like, another celebrity? You know, dare I say... No, I won't. But, like, I mean, there's a lot of people that you could go with on this.
Well, yeah, but I could also think of other things, you know? I mean, people talk about all the time, like you know, some false guy whose hands bleed from where the crucifixion happens, you see Star take him out. A floating pig, for Christ's sake?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know. That was kind of like a letdown when that was the reveal, was a floating pig.
Because like, would you have screamed like that if there was a floating pig outside?
No, I would have tilted my head and go, "Am I seeing what I'm seeing?"
Yeah, or
not
I would
scream like, you know, you have the werewolf at your door, you know,
or you know, like I'm not sure. Mona, get the fire pit ready. We're cooking. We're eating good tonight. Yeah. But I mean, there's nothing that would cause. Like, I almost wanted it to be Star that they saw coming out.
I mean, I don't know. And just, you know, I know they cut into this part of the stuff. I'm just going to go ahead and finish off this whole Vietnam thing, you know. And like you said, when they opened up Vietnam and they were going through this, I was really expecting some kind of cool montage or something that was going to be like what we saw in the past. And it was a kind of letdown. But anyway, you know, it basically leads to him getting his shoes shine, taking a global satellite phone call from whoever, because later in the episode we realize that I guess he's the boss.
Well, it's like he's the boss, but he's not the boss.
Right. And then, you know, you missed a spot, you know. And
I was terrified for this poor little kid, though. When he said it, I was like...
Did you notice the Atlanta Falcons Super Bowl champion shirt?
I love that they bring...
crisp and clean. And I was like...
I was waiting for 31-3 to pop up on it or somewhere.
Seth Rogen, you know, just is written all over this. And
but I mean, that is an actual thing that does happen.
I've watched the episode. I've watched that Dateline thing where they take the Super Bowl shirts and give them to third world countries.
Hey, They're champions. They're Super Bowl champions somewhere.
That's right.
That's what really matters.
That's right. And so then he goes to take a drink of this water, and he sees all this floating contaminant in it.
And at first I was like, okay, he's just going to poison and stuff. But then when I watched it the second time, I was like, isn't that all the food he just spit in there?
It wasn't clear.
No.
But he just used it as an excuse, as contaminated water is what killed the people.
Yeah. And I love at the end, like the news reporter. I mean, I hate to just skip right there. It's like, you're telling me contaminated water made a pig float? And he's like, not buying it in the slightest.
No, yeah. Are you a scientist?
Yeah.
Then shut up. Well, here's the thing. Did you hear the voice? It was like a robot was regurgitating something.
It was like brain came out of nowhere and was just like error 404.
Yes.
Water does not compute.
Yeah. So I mean, the whole Vietnam thing was a wash for me. The whole pig thing, I didn't get it.
Like, was the pig slaughtered in the? The pig was slaughtered in the end, but it was like everybody died. There was blood, and so like the fact that like someone's got to come and see that water clearly did not kill all these people.
Absolutely, but it
was just something was off about it. Like I don't know what to say.
They built this whole thing up from this case file. Mm-hmm. You have Star show up, and for it to come out flat like that was just a disappointment to me. You know what I mean? It just really, really was. And while we're talking about Star, let's go ahead and finish off this character in the show, is that we break away to get his origin and how this sets. And you first realize that he is a former Nazi.
Yes.
And
who has not aged.
Yeah, no. And he was for the GSG-9 group and this was in 2004. They used the year 2004. I didn't know there was the Nazi Party of 2004.
There's remnants of like all of that history stuff still around, deep ground. Like, okay. I mean, I would hate to, I hate saying that and stuff, but I don't think it would be too hard to find.
I thought that them putting the year was kind of peculiar.
Yeah, that part is a bit odd.
Kind of,
but I mean, you
gotta
remember,
they went into the conversation of, he goes, we're part of an organization like that. Now, I absolutely loved his line. I absolutely goes, it's like a 10-inch stick. You don't believe it until you see it. You know what I mean? And I was like, yes.
And that was apparently like a big moment in the comics and everything because people were tweeting. Like they had the hashtag 10-inch dick, and I was cracking up as soon as he said it.
These are these little gold nuggets that are just so good and what keep you in the show.
I won't believe it until I see it. That I was just like, man, do you really want to see that though?
Right. And and he kind of wraps up and goes, well, are you a Christian? And he's
doesn't matter.
Yeah, really. I guess I'm a Christian. And so I could see, I saw social media buzz where they were like, this is hating on a certain religion and this, that, or so on. And I'm like, it's a TV show.
Yeah,
it's
like
fantasy.
guys,
we got freaking vampires in the show. I mean, wake up.
Don't
talking about God being lost.
Seth Rogen is leading this thing. Like
2 words, Seth Rogen. I mean, come on.
Don't take anything serious. Like he might talk about serious stuff, but it's gonna be with comedy and parody thrown into it. Like, there's no reason to get worked up over this show.
No, not at all. Not at all. And so and then it goes back into, we're going to do this recruitment, and you have like these 20 guys here, and they're all physical specimens, and then you have Star.
Yes.
Who has freaking nipple pierced chain.
What a great touch. Just like, I was like, A, why would he have this? But B, why does this look so right on him?
I mean, it was befitting.
Yeah.
It was very befitting. And
so, like, let's just break down his recruitment process and everything. So, like, we're going to start off with the wrestling.
Oh, no. Another gold nugget. Are you ready? Like that. Do you validate parking? No, we don't. And he goes, what kind of organization is this? Does validate that man's parking? He's like, I'm just like out of complete left field.
Waste my time and everything. And you don't even validate parking. No wonder this is such a shoddy business. And I was just
I mean, another gold nugget of great writing, just a way to throw you off,
well, it just showed that he was always in control of every part of the situation.
Yes. But when they started out with the medicine balls, I was like, "Oh, this is getting cheeseball quick," you know. And then
where's the rope?
Then he's jumping through the tires, you know, and the guy falls, you know, cut. I'm like really, you can't run through a set of tires and get cut from the program?
There is no way anyone's really ever going to fall running through tires. That has got to be the easiest exercise in the history of the world.
Unless you got skis like me, which I wear a size 15. You know?
I mean, I wear 14.4E, so
I mean. But yeah, so we're getting ridiculous. So finally, we got to the point where they were doing, you know, some kind of hand-to-hand combat in the wrestling, and this guy comes out with the leotard, this tight, non-athletic looking body fella to wrestle, and takes a guy or two out. Cool little slow mo of this guy's face hitting the ground.
Oh yeah,
spitting everywhere. And then Star goes out there,
and before it even starts, I take no pleasure in what is about to transpire here, and I was like. All right.
I mean, the man gets in the chokehold and he's jerking off, man.
But like, and it wasn't even like the chokehold wasn't.
It wasn't tight.
No, it was nothing. Like it was my arms over
letting
your throat.
You do your business down there. You know what I mean? And he goes, "What are you doing down there?" He says, "I'm jerking one off." And then he, takes him out.
Yep.
And the guy's like, "What a quality move! You distracted your opponent."
No matter how weird or odd it is, a distraction can work.
Yeah, and while he does it, he walks over the golf club and crushes his skull.
Walks off screen, like he said, gets through the golf, calmly walks, wham!
Yeah,
wham!
3 shots to the skull. It's like.
But then I was thinking, if you put somebody in a chokehold and they just started whacking it, are you going to finish choking them or? Like, that could be a solid strategy.
Hey, no, I'm with you. I'm totally with you. And so on. What tripped me out is that the next one was, the art of seduction.
Yes.
And,
this dude, Rico Suave, pop up, like, perfect bone structure and everything. Yeah.
And then he walks up and goes, "Give me the microfilm, bitch."
I'm going to murder you and all of your family. And I was like, yes, this is exactly what I expected. It was like, there's no way he's
seduction. Him smiling, enjoying the volts on his balls.
Oh my God.
I was puckering.
Well, at first I was like, okay, so clearly, like, he's manipulated this in a way. Like, he put his charger on somebody. No.
He's enjoying the sizzle.
And then, like, we see the voltage, like, going past the red, trying to bring. I was like, volts. Oh my God.
Oh God.
And then it's like,
this is when you're having too much fun.
Oh yeah.
And you have a national television show. I mean, it's shown.
It was like Tyler Durden was like in this thing. He's like, "Oh, give me pain."
Yeah, it's just, oh God.
And then we go. It was just him and Art of Seduction dude for the shooting final. As soon as he's putting these things, I was like, "Oh man, I've never seen a dead man so clearly labeled as we are right now."
The second the guy got the gun, I was like, he's not even gonna shoot.
And I love how like he's got like a semi-automatic, and then Star has a revolver.
Yeah, an old school revolver, like a backup weapon for a 70s cop.
It was like, we're making sure you can only get one bullet. Like we're not trusting you with anything.
Oh gosh. And so he's like, "Great, you won, da da da." And he's like, you know the purpose of how we handle the Grail, and he's like, massacre and blackmail or sexual blackmail.
He's like, well, I mean, yes, but no, like that's not the main reason.
Oh no!
And then like he does the cool TV like drop down.
Oh yeah. And he goes, "Well, the Lord gave us a gift. He fathered a child." So, and this is straight pulling from the comic books.
Okay.
This is like, I'm not giving anything away. Is that they, like he said, it's under military protection from the armed machine guns like that. The descendant, of God, is under lock and key, and which is just like, and it has a pretty cool unveiling if they follow the comic book on
okay.
This. So this is pretty neat that they did this.
So like, I don't know if this has anything to do with the comic or anything, but is Star the leader of that girl we saw earlier? Do you think?
She all worked for the Grail. And he does does order her around in comic books. So that is correct.
Okay, so this is a connection.
She is a lower level operative for the Grail in the comic book.
So that makes sense why how he got Jesse's file and everything. Gotcha.
Correct. Yeah. So that all that is legit. So he's talking to the guy, and so we see bright things for you, Star, and like that. And the whole time I'm like,
well, and he gets the suit, and he's like, some people think it's too flashy or anything. I was like, kind of want a white suit. Like, I mean, that thing's looking pretty dapper.
Yeah, exactly. And he takes him out into the balcony. I'm thinking the whole time, this guy's toast. I mean, he's done nothing but the complete, absolute opposite of everything. You know, he's always like that. And sure enough, he just pushes him right off the side to this guy's death.
Yeah, it was just like, good job, Timmy. Oh, sorry about that. Didn't know my own strength. And then just goes right to the boss's chair. And I was like, yep.
And then pulls the screen back down. I was just like, oh my gosh. And so, like, it was a cool unveiling for Star. That of the episode, but that was the most memorable part. It's just the quick whips, some of the cool ways they did things, for his introduction. And so I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Get rid of the effing pig and all that stuff.
I mean, that was really the best part of the show and everything. And like they took something that could have been really bad, like a little training montage, and they spiced it up in weird little ways.
They did.
Then they made it very Preacher-esque.
They did. Now, dealing with Cassidy and Jesse and Tulip and so on, and Dennis, because he was kind of more of a prevalent character, is that we have moved on. The Cowboys behind us, and we've hit the last jazz joint, and we've come up spades. There's nothing. And you have this cool little scene at the very beginning where it shows them picking up bodies and they put them on the back of the carts. And later you realize that one cart is for drunk and the other one's for dead.
Yep.
I've been to New Orleans before, just as I know you have, and I've never seen these carts.
Did not see these things driving around or anything. I love the testing method of
hot poker.
Yeah, still alive. I was like, no. That does seem like New Orleans, but I've never seen these things driving around.
This is somebody's imagination, to me it is.
Yeah, this reminds me of old Monty Python. Bring your dead out.
I'm not quite dead yet. Can you do something about this? I need help here.
Extra 5 copper. Whack.
And so they decide they're going to have some fun, take some things out, and go to this bar called the Hurt Locker.
Yeah. So have you ever watched Leftovers?
I have not.
Okay, well, in season 1, one of the main girls, this is how she blows off steam: is she pays somebody to come and shoot her as she's wearing a bulletproof vest.
Interesting.
And so I was like, this is either something that happens in New Orleans that I just thankfully didn't catch while I was down there, or B, this is kind of like a play off of that, but added gambling and cassified it a little bit.
Right.
And so, I was excited to see something like this.
Yeah. No, yeah. I just the name, the Hurt Locker.
Yeah.
It was just
classic.
Classic, And so when you see Tulip and Cassidy come in there and they're all lovey-dovey and everything like that, I wasn't thinking much of this in the beginning. I thought they were just blowing off steam. But then when you see Jesse come in there and he's like, it's not right, man.
Yeah.
Do what God leads you. And I'm like,
they're pulling a con.
This is a con.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a dead giveaway.
And it was exciting to see Tulip and Jesse work together in this kind of way again.
It really was, And then the whole working the crowd of, the bigger the gun, the higher the odds and blah, blah, blah stuff. And I'm totally like, get the big one. And they pulled this hand cannon.
Good. Yeah, they pulled the Cowboys'
Dirty gun looked like, a pop gun.
Yeah, I mean, this was like a Barrett 50 cal
revolver.
In revolver form, but I was like, and then, we get the Cassidy, we get the Tulip kiss and everything, which Cassidy's like, okay, we're going all in with it.
He's enjoying every second.
Absolutely.
Feeling like a man.
And then as soon as he's just like, all right, ladies, and before he even finishes, the dude doesn't hesitate, just boom.
Oh, I know it. He goes, well, I didn't realize this was ladies' night. And all this. I was just, but when they shoot and you see the blood just get the whole back wall, I was like, oh my God.
Oh, and the dude strapping it, the gun around his wrist and everything. I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Oh God.
It was good. And they walked in there, oh God. And then Jesse's like, he's dead. He didn't make it. And he's like,
Everybody just scatters.
Everybody's a good citizen. Stay and confess what you've seen here for the good Lord and the law. When we talk to the police, and everybody's
God.
You know.
As Tulip slowly feeding him a little blood bag and everything.
With a straw in it. I mean, like it's a freaking Danimal or a Capri Sun or something. I was like, you gotta be
Danimal. Yeah, this is the red Danimal. Yeah. Or we have
strawberry flavor. Yes.
Red Kool-Aid as well.
I know. I'm just like. Now, one thing I will say is, if people start running out of there, you can't tell me one of those guys doesn't grab this open container full of cash.
Like. I know me. I would have been grabbing the money.
I'm out of here. I might as well get cash to get out of town. I was just like, I was kind of surprised they saw the container was still open and just grabbed cash. I needed to see the container closed.
Yes.
And so them opening it and get the cash. It's a minor detail makes the scene more plausible.
Yeah, because these are all scummy people in New Orleans. Like, someone's going to take that money if they see it.
Right. So... when that's all said and done, they're sitting at the bar.
Yeah.
And Jesse and Tulip are kind of like, well, I want to stay.
This was actually a pretty fun scene. Like, I did end up enjoying it by the end.
Yes. You get their conversation, and he wants to leave. But then you get Cassidy talking to Dennis. And what are the odds you have the Tulane professor of French sitting at the bar?
The odds of a Tulane professor of French, low. But the odds of a random person knowing French
in New Orleans, not low.
Yeah. And so, I would have preferred that.
I would have, too. I would have been like, I would have rather been a Cajun.
Yes.
Because Creole down there is just a mix, and I would love for him to loosely say, you don't even realize what he's saying. He's pretty much saying this. And, him say, well, how do you know that? Because, basically give something back to a Creole heritage of French. This was a French colony for one time.
We're in the French Quarter right now.
There's a reason they call it the French,
We're on Frenchman Street. Really anything.
Come on, wake up. Instead of, I'm the professor of French at Tulane University.
Yeah.
Which, don't get me wrong, Tulane is in the heart of New Orleans and so on.
It just doesn't make
the
much
Green
sense.
Wave. Yeah. It was a little much.
And he's going to be at the Hurt Locker?
Exactly.
Just make it a Cajun.
After the place is dead empty because somebody supposedly got murdered.
Yeah.
You're talking to.
The guy that was murdered is...
Exactly. So that crap right there, two things. The container should have been closed, and he shouldn't have the freaking professor of French. Now, what's interesting, which I kind of thought the same thing, is Dennis is asking to be for the gift to live forever.
He wants to become a vampire.
All right, question. Would you want to be a vampire if it was real?
Man, that's always a tough question and everything. And ultimately...
to know you can watch your entire family will get old and die.
Yeah, I got to say, I build too many connections with people. And to know that I'm going to outlive those connections...
all of them.
Yeah. And you would never want to have kids. There's no way you would ever want to have kids knowing that you're going to have to bury them.
Guess what mine is? I say yes. You want to know why?
Yes.
I wait till my kids over a certain age and I give them the same gift and I give my wife the same gift and then.
But what if they don't want it? You can't.
That's true, but I'll give them the choice, I guess.
Yeah, but what if they say no? And it's
well, I'm just SOL.
That's something you have to be like, hey, kids.
We're going to create the colony.
What if I told you I could make you a vampire? Now, before you answer, you just go ahead and bite them. Oh, surprise. It wasn't an option.
Happy birthday. You're going to look like this way the rest of your life. Yeah. Well, first of all, I need to lose some weight. I don't want to look like this the rest of eternity.
Well, I think you still get in shape and everything. I don't know.
I'd be worried that I'd be stuck in the form that I'm in because you don't age, you don't change.
Yeah, but you still become superhuman fast and stuff. So really, you got a little bit more mass. It could work out in the favor. I mean, I understand.
We're gonna move on.
I understand if you want to be Twilight character, so Jake can
We're gonna turn the podcast off now because you are referencing Twilight, which is
you're the one you want to be in Jake's favorite movie. It's understandable.
I know it's his favorite movie, but you can't do that. We can't be referencing Twilight anymore.
But no, I'm gonna stick with no on the vampire answer.
Well, I just want
I enjoy sunlight.
There you go.
There we go.
Sunblock 3000. Some RoboCop.
Oh yeah. Well, Cassie's not even using the umbrella anymore.
That's true. He doesn't have to. All right. So Dennis is asking for, he's dying of heart disease. I want the gift to live forever. And he's like, no. And Dennis is like, well, I'll die knowing that I hated you.
Sad stuff.
Pretty cold.
Yeah.
I hate to say it.
And then I love Cassidy's. Most people do.
Yes. And then he gets drunk enough to be classified dead and scooped up by one of these imaginary carts.
Because he's Cassidy.
He's Cassidy. Now, I do love that he's beating on the morgue door. And he goes, not again, But even the nurse's dialogue afterwards is like, it happens.
Yeah.
You kind of often. And it's like, what was the significance of him going in there and seeing the people look through the door? Is that supposed to reference Dennis dying?
I think so, because I thought that person looked eerily like Dennis.
Yeah.
And so I think it's going to end up making him want to turn Dennis. Well, not want to, but give in and turn Dennis.
Well, I think it's pulling at his heartstrings. I know it's wrong. I wouldn't wish this on anybody. But when you see that, do you want to live through the idea of watching your son die?
Yeah.
And I could see that.
But also, man, Dennis is so old. Like, why would you? It's too late.
Yeah. I mean, I hear you. You never know.
Yeah, I guess.
You never know. But then the show really focuses on Tulip and her nightmares. Now, this is the part of the show that I enjoyed very much, was that I loved how dark they made the cowboy and the sprinkling of fingers falling on her in the nightmare.
And just the apartment itself.
Right, yeah. And it was dark, and then the window being open. And then Dennis is dead to the world beside it. And then
and how creepy all these sounds are.
Right,
David
who knew that just, the steam of a kettle
and shout out to New Orleans, because I'm a big proponent of gas stoves, and so you see the fire turn on and everything. Great job by everybody.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. And of course seeing the bullet hole in the refrigerator,
creaking of the door, and I don't know how they made if they did if the door was actually this creaking and everything, but it was creak and then it stopped. Creak, creak, creak. And I was like, this is well done.
What was those sound effects again?
Creak. Oh. Creak, creak,
Going
creak.
to the Bubba School sound effects.
Oh,
yes. That. Yeah, that was good.
Worked harder on it.
Yeah, but then when he lifts Tulip up and then he pulls the gun out and goes, you're out of time, and then greases her, and of course she wakes up. I was just like, it was actually I was kind of leaning back in my chair damn, this is kind of rough.
And how did you feel about Jesse word playing his way out of saying that he sent the cowboy to hell? That's going to come back and bite him, right?
Yeah, it will. Absolutely. She asked if he sent to hell, and
he's like, he's gone.
He's a gone. You can say yes and no that he wasn't lying. He was lying.
It's live omission.
Yeah, exactly. You just how you want to interpret what he means. I think he skated,
but also I don't blame him for not sending the cowboy to hell. That's your soul. Does that send you there too? If 1% of it.
Well, here's the deal: you send him to hell, he has the potential to come back. You did what he did, and he's contained. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean it's a tough decision.
Yeah, I mean. And plus, he's under lock and key, and where.
Yeah.
And like I said, from the comic books, like we've talked about before, being locked in a box in the swamp is significant to the comic book.
Yes.
And so I think it had relative meaning because of that. I'm
okay with it. And I don't want the cowboy gone yet anyway. So I'm happier that we went with this
he's
route.
not a goner. He'll become a character again, in just at the right time, I hope to. So there's no doubt about it. So the only thing we really hadn't talked about is that there were some key points here, and I'm really happy this popped, because I didn't really think about this either, is that Jesse starts watching the audition video again and listens to what the guy was actually saying as the lines he was quoting for his audition for the God role.
Okay.
That he didn't realize. And he was quoting the same lines as the guy who was outside saying the world is coming to an end.
That's why he ended up going back and talking to him.
It didn't catch me at first, but that guy was out there saying this is the end of the world. But then when he played the video of the guy auditioning, it was almost the exact same rhetoric, and I was like, are we about to see that the guy out there telling us in the world is God or something? And I was like, oh, this is a cool catch and stuff. And then when he goes to talk to him,
he's just a crazy drunk.
He's just a guy who wants beer.
Yep.
And it's his con, And so I was kind of like, I think this conversation was not more about this was a clue that this might be something to God, but more of a conversation that is making you realize that you are doing a lot of negative things or have done a lot of negative things that is not going to help you in your overall mission or what you need to do for redemption.
Yes, and you need to be careful of, oddly enough, following false deities.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Everything.
And so I was excited that correlation was made between the audition and the guy out there, but it kind of ended up coming flat because it didn't lead to what you thought was a mystery clue. It was more of a self-awareness.
Yeah. But we did rename drop Tom Cruise, and so that almost makes it worthwhile.
Makes up for a good chunk of it. And it wouldn't hurt my feelings if they showed a newscast, 9 months ago. This is what happened to Tom Cruise. Just for fun. But
I mean, that's pretty much the episode.
Yeah, it's kind of what the episode was kind of about, Gives you a prequel to a cool character that's going to be a major one for the future. Yeah, because Star is a big character in the comic book.
So do you think he lets out the cowboy? Or the cowboy?
The cowboy is... He doesn't.
You think they're going to be on... Okay, so these two could be on...
Two completely different worlds of entity.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. No. Cowboy works for nobody. Cowboy works for himself. And so he's never an ally or anything of that nature. So I totally don't see any of that. The only thing that I am depressed about this show, as I've realized more and more, is that the two angels from season 1,
they brought so much to this show.
They brought so much to this show,
and
it's what's missing right now. And we're supposed to be having a similar banter with Cassidy and other people, and bringing Dennis in and having all that stuff. It's good, but the two angels, we're missing that part.
Yes.
And
because they could bring so much joy through death in a way that...
Right, but don't get me wrong now. In the comic books, this is completely not in the comic books of these two angels being a part of that. Especially in the way that they portrayed in the show and stuff like that. And so you're really supposed to be enjoying the Tulip, Cassidy, and Jesse show, but right now they're doing the angle of they're struggling with their own demons. And
they just haven't hit that hard enough. I mean, the first episode was really good because of that dynamic and everything. The second episode, and then as soon as we got to New Orleans and everything, I know we did that in the second episode, but Tulip's just been so dark,
right?
Which works for the show and everything, but it really drags down the three amigos.
Right. My concern now is that where the show's going from here.
Mm-hmm.
There's no clear-cut line where they're going. They're not being chased. They've checked every jazz bar. They're running out of straws and ideas of what they're supposed to do. And it's like running out of air in the tank. It's just eventually you die.
Well, I mean, this is what we were worried about. This is why we love the cowboy and everything. Is because we thought he was going to chase us out of New Orleans. Well, that didn't happen, and now we're bringing Star to New Orleans.
Right. And, and I went back and watched, and there's there's certain parts where you see somebody walk by a movie poster or a certain post that has information. And, there's some details and stuff like that. But I wouldn't know. It doesn't give you enough to say it's integral to what the show is going to show you or do or whatever. So I'm just, I'm real curious. I'm really, really curious where they're going to go with some of this. But, again, I'm really enjoying the show. It's just such a unique thing. Such a unique version of how TV goes nowadays. When AMC says they want original, they got it.
Yes. And they're letting them get away with a lot. And I'm hoping that falls into Walking Dead and a lot of the other shows that we watch on AMC. Because Preacher is taking a lot of risk. And I think most of them are paying off.
I agree.
And I'm hoping AMC allows other shows to take these kind of risk.
Totally agree. Guys, always catch us on social media. We're on Facebook and Twitter. That's BleedTV Podcast. And you can always do it at gmail.com. Love to hear from you guys. We put a lot of our banter on here and a lot of our conversation with people as part of our show. We'd love to hear from you, and it's just what makes it we enjoy it that much more. If y'all enjoyed the show and enjoyed listening, and want to give us a positive review on iTunes, we would appreciate it. But other than that, guys, we're going to call it a night. Look forward to next week. Hopefully, we'll be able to have Jake join us back. We've had some difficulties, but hopefully. Good Lord, praying the Grail doesn't get in his way. We can have him back on the show.
Oh, man. We're just going to blame the Grail.
That's right, the Grail. Damn star. But anyway, guys, this is BleedTV, and I'm Zach.
And I'm Cash.
And we'll see y'all next week.